Right, are we live or are we dead? Oh, okay, we're live. Great. Excellent. Did you know that apparently 90%, I'm not even kidding, 90% of the gaming industry right now is either developing or preparing to develop a live action game? A live service game. Sorry, my bad. Live service. What do you guys think about live service, huh? Do you like it? Is it a good idea? Is it a good concept? Hello. Which one was it though? Like, what was the first live service game? I wonder. Which one is the primordial one that opened the door? I think like the first one was Assassin's Creed, the one with the French Revolution, where social justice activists were wondering where is the Eiffel Tower. I think that was like you had like this and by the way, in true classic, just so you know that it was a very progressive game, it was filled with bugs and didn't work well on launch. But the in-game store, oh my god, that worked perfectly. Like if you were buying Assassin's Creed for the in-game store because you like to click around and get loot boxes, that game worked perfect. But if you actually wanted to play, you know, the single-player experience, which required an online connection, by the way, that didn't work. Oh my god, you know, it's so annoying because I was a massive chat, listen, I was a massive Prince of Persia fan. It was my favorite game. You know, I grew up with Prince of Persia. I actually used to play Prince of Persia with my mom. There was like this computer that she had at work, and someone installed the game Prince of Persia on it, and I used to play it. It was really fun. We didn't know that the shift key was actually very useful, and you could click it in order to interact with it, right? But you have Prince of Persia Sands of Time coming out. Amazing game. I loved it. The second one was great. Third one was great. And then some fucking asshole at Ubisoft, some fucking asshole for some reason was like, hey, let's make an Assassin's Creed game. And since that day forward, they never touched Prince of Persia again. I just want, hold on, let me show you something about Prince of Persia, right? Let me show you something. Prince of Persia 2 trailer, just so you can understand what we're talking about, right? Because like a lot of people forget. Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. Right. So I watched to see how video games used to look when I was but a child. When I was but a child, right? So this is the prince, okay? And this is what he is going to be fighting. Ah, here we go. This is the haka. But unfortunately, it's not what I wanted to show you. Hold on. Let me just give me a second. It takes a while. So Prince of Persia, not trailer. Prince of Persia 2 Bolt fight. I think it's here we go. Right. So let me just go to the scene. Here we go. So he's on a ship. By the way, at this point in time, these were like state-of-the-art graphics. It was just absolutely amazing. And look what's happening here, chat. Look what's happening here. Right? You have all of these monsters. Oh my god. Oh, Ushikushi. Oh. She is but a child. Oh, she is but a child. Oh, the humanity. I'm willing to bet that if she came out today in a Western game, sorry, in an Eastern game, right? In a game from Japan, you would have all the journalists. Oh, she is but a child. She looks like my daughter. Oh, call the FBI. No. I gotta say, you know, like a lot of people will bring out the fact it's like, well, her face, you know, like look at her face. First of all, who the fuck cares about her face? But secondly, the reason she looked like that was due to the graphics at the time. Like, it wasn't easy to make like realistic graphics, but still, I mean, she looks feminine, right? Like she actually looks like a woman that's outside of California, yeah. Because I understand that in California, yeah, in Portland, they put something in the water. I think like they put a lot of testosterone there. Like Dr. Fauci is putting testosterone and is like doing his whole splicing of the human genome, and like all the women, they look different than the rest of the world. So the game developers, they only have like the new version, the Women Plus, they're surrounded with them. So they have like no way of knowing how legacy women look like. So that's why modern video game developers are constantly making the same female character over and over and over again. It's because they don't know any better. But back then, we used to have women that look like this. But anyway, right, so as I was saying, they never touched Prince of Persia. They never made another Prince of Persia since. Yeah, she doesn't have a jawline. Can you imagine a woman without a jawline? Oh my god. Oh. What were people thinking back then? How can you show a strong and empowered female character without displaying a jawline? I actually miss the games that I grew up with, my favorite part is that now there's this new game which came from South Korea. I didn't get the name of it yet, but apparently it's kind of like Nier Automata, like it shows some ass, and all the game journalists are losing their shit. It's like, oh, she is but a child, okay, fine. But then it's like the other people. It's like these are the intellectuals, okay, the intellectual elite, the intellectual artillery from the woke Twitter. A video game that has a good story does not need to rely on sexuality. It's like, first of all, why? What does having a good story and relying on sexuality have to do with each other? That's like saying Buffy Vampire Slayer didn't have to cast a beautiful actress. How I Met Your Mother didn't have to cast beautiful actress. Like everything... Right? The hallmark of a good story is the hag. Especially the diversity hag that works in corporate, right? Like, unless you put a morbidly obese woman that has, like, the fat going out of her mouth, then you can't have a good story in that entertainment, right? Like, you need the diversity hag to have the good story. Where does this logic come from, by the way? Who made this logic? It's like, okay, well, if you rely on sexuality, like, if you have a pair of cleavage in your anime, it's a bad anime, it cannot possibly have a good story, right? So Bayonetta, I mean, to be fair, Bayonetta doesn't really have good story, but it does have good gameplay, right? I mean, honestly, when it comes to video games, I don't really care about the story that much. I mean, it's nice if it's there, but there are video games that have no story. Or video games that do have a story, like League of Legends, but no one gives a fuck, because, like, you only care about the gameplay. Right, so you have, like, the intellectual artillery. It's like, oh, well, if it has a pair of tits, then it means that it must not have a good story. And it's like, okay, but, like, Western games don't have tits and have shitty story as well. And then they don't sell, right? So, my advice is, like, Star Wars, okay? Like, Star Wars is written by incompetent people. Like, those people can't write even if you put a gun to their head. It's not their fault, it's their limit. Like, you can't ask someone that has, like, mental deficiency to do something great. Like, you can't write Shakespeare if you're mentally damaged. So it's understandable, they got mentally damaged by the academia and their ideologies, so they literally cannot write. And then, in that case, just throw a boobie, just throw a panty shot, right? Because I, from the audience, who am looking at that scene, just disconnect my brain, and all of a sudden, I don't feel regretful that I spent $50 in order to see your shit. Because at least I go like, oh, well, at least I saw some boobies and a panties, there was some fan service there, so at the end of the day, I got my entertainment, right? Because that's why I paid $50 to get entertained, not to get, like, the new Shakespeare or some life advice from the movie that I went to see. So it is what it is. American Outlier, High V doing good, the pilot didn't change my mind. Oh, I see. Well, the pilot wasn't that good, you gotta watch. See, this is what I like to do to people, do you have, like, people who recommend you anime and you're like, okay, I watched the episode and it was shit, and they're like, no, you need to watch like 450 other episodes until it gets good. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, name me the anime that's like that. Where the fuck is my... Give me 1 second. Just 1 second. Shut them up. Alright, forgot my cup of coffee. I really hate that, right? Like you have certain people recommending you, like, an anime, and you're already wasting your time, and it's like, fine, I'll watch it. And then when you watch it, it's shit. And they're like, no, you actually need to watch like 450 other episodes until it picks up and gets good. And I'm like, who the fuck has time for that? No. My favorite part is with Star Trek Deep Space Nine. People are like, you need to watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It is so deep, V. It is deep. It is deep because it's Deep Space Nine. And I'm like, holy shit, okay, fine, I'll watch it. And I watched the first season and I like it shit. And it's like, no, you need to watch until season 3. It gets good by season 3. Oh, fuck off. Sic itur ad astra. Keep lambasting these fools. I'm trying my best. Reigning Terror. I'm starting to like his name, Reigning Terror. It's got like an anime girl. You know, like everything that you post gets better if you have an anime girl as an avatar. Persona 3 Reload is censored to hell. Also, Stellar Blade is censored because it's on PlayStation. I didn't know that Stellar Blade is censored. But the thing with Persona, I never fucking touched it. Like, the moment I saw social justice activists like it and get interested in it, I was like, nope. I bounce. By the way, I want to talk about Rags. I want to talk about Rags. Now I can talk about Rags as much as I want, right? Because he's not here, so he's not going to have like a 20-minute passive-aggressive monologue as background music while I'm talking. That guy has verbal diarrhea, doesn't he? Is that a cure for verbal diarrhea? Do you guys watch Dungeons & Dragons? You know that I don't get along with him. It's kind of like he's passive-aggressive towards me, I'm active-aggressive towards him. It's fine, but like, here's the thing. He said the most dumb thing I've never heard something so dumb in my life. Like, out of all the things that I have read in my life, if I was to put the category, the dumbest thing is what he said the last Dungeons & Dragons session, and I want to address it now. He said that Dead Space Remake is not woke. And I'm curious, like, in what universe is that man living in? How is Dead Space Remake not woke? And unfortunately, every time I asked the question, he started talking over me with, like, verbal diarrhea stuff and passive-aggressive nonsense. And I'm like, okay, you can't have a discussion. Eventually, he conceded, though. I won the conversation. But I want to explain and do a victory lap here and tell you why Dead Space Remake is fucking woke. Okay? So, you have the original game, which is perfect. The original game is perfect because it is renowned around the world, right? Like if you go to Japan, people know what Dead Space is. If you go to Germany, people know what Dead Space is. If you go to Romania, right? It's a classic. It was excellent. An amazing game. So they decided to remake it. And the arrogance, the hubris, the audacity of the new developers, they're like, yeah, this game that's perfect, actually we can make it better. We can make it better. We are going to add diverse people on the posters, right? So as you're traveling through the Ishimura, you get to see posters. Well, now the female scientist is a black woman that's missing a leg. I'm not kidding. Like, she's got a prosthetic leg, right? Like, it's progress. It's an amputee person now on the poster. There's no 2 bathrooms now. It's only 1 bathroom. It's gender neutral bathrooms. One of the main characters, which is the love interest, she is now an elderly lady with a strong jawline. Many such changes, right? So my question is, Rags believes that the game is not woke. My question is, why did they make those changes? Like, did they think that it adds something to the gameplay? Did they think that it adds more immersion to the environment? Why did they make the changes? I know why they made the changes. You know why they made the changes. We all know why they made the changes. They made the changes because they believed that the original developers were racist pieces of shit. That they weren't inclusive enough. That they weren't open-minded enough. That they weren't tolerant enough. They weren't left enough, right? So they went, it's like, okay, well, developers, we are disgusted that we have to touch your product, but we are going to add our stuff in order to improve it. Right? That's why the game is woke. Now you can say, well, it's woke, but I'll still play it, or it's woke, but it doesn't affect the gameplay. That's fine, but it is woke. It is woke because the people who made it inserted wokeness on purpose for the sake of having it woke. Now, imagine the other one thing, right? Because I had some individuals saying, well, it doesn't affect gameplay. And I'm like, okay, imagine if you take a game like Dead Space and you purposefully insert Nazi imagery in it, right? Like you have like National Socialist propaganda in it for the sake of being there, right? Like you have like actual racist slogans, you have, and it's just the posters. like you're going in the game and you're seeing like all these Nazi posters everywhere. Would it not be accurate to say at that point that the remake of Dead Space is racist? Because you have people that were racist and injected their ideology in the remake, not for the betterment of the game, not for the betterment of the immersion or anything like that. It's simply because they believed that their ideology has to be forced on the consumer. That the person that buys the video game has to know that the developers are supporting of that ideology, right? If I were to say, if you go in Dead Space and you see like pictures of swastikas everywhere and you see like, you know, like Nazi propaganda and talks about IQs and race and stuff, like stuff that wasn't in the original game but is now added in, would it not be accurate to say that, yeah, like the remake is made by some racist devs? Yeah, like the remake is racist, yeah. Wouldn't it be accurate? I know you'd play that because it would be edgy. But still, my point is, if it's okay to say that, then why isn't it okay to say that the game is woke? Because it is. Now, of course, there's a scale of wokeness. You know, some games are more woke than others. Like, I wouldn't say it's as woke as Forspoken, for instance, right? Some people can tolerate various levels of wokeness, but no, Dead Space is a woke game. I think it has sufficient woke elements in it that are added specifically to push the ideology. And I want to, you know, I just want to point out why people like myself are losing, right? Like people who don't like woke games, because apparently Rags loves woke games, so, you know, I can't really speak for him. Like maybe he absolutely loves Forspoken and other video games like that. But as for me, the reason I keep losing is because people that are supposed to represent my side, when they see wokeness, they let it pass. In fact, they will say, well, don't call it woke. Don't call it woke. Call it anything but woke. It's fine, right? But meanwhile, I remember when some developer from Ubisoft managed to see like something even remotely resembling a Kekistani flag. This was in 2016. Like there was a there was a logo which you could have had on your soldier. I think it was for the game Siege. And you could customize like a couple of flags and stuff. It is part of like customization. And one of the things looked a little bit similar to a Kekistani flag. It wasn't like it wasn't a one-on-one copy, but it was kind of there, you know. Oh my god, they raised such a stink. They wanted the person that added it in fired. They doxed the artist that put it in. They assumed that the guy is malicious. Like they went through his entire social media feed to find and uproot if you said any racist joke or whatever, right? That's how people who want to win behave. That's how people that are in charge of the culture behave. That is how people who genuinely give a fuck about changing the world behave. And you know, if you don't want to change the world, that's fine. But don't complain when you get Forspoken up your throat. The Twitter would throw a fit if right-wing propaganda was in there. Also, I rewatched the D&D stream and I have no idea why Rags suggested to go straight for the bandits. But you caught flag for it. The thing is, like, I didn't even necessarily wanted to fight them. I was like, I'm going to cast the darkness spell, and if it works, you know, we try to catch their leader, and if we catch their leader, we can then negotiate so that we can escape. If we can't catch their leader, then we're going to run away, right? Just get into the carriage, like, you have darkness casted, it's fine. Apparently the GM had other plans. That was a talking encounter. That was a no role-playing. Sorry, that was a no combat zone. And it's like, okay, whatever. I don't like getting railroaded like that. But yeah, whatever. It is what it is. We should use every tactic the left has ever used, but go one step further. See, I think like Zlixon knows what it means to win. Like, as long as something is not illegal, fucking do it. I don't care. It's like, oh, but we're going to become like them. That is such an American mentality. There is no equivalent of that in Romanian, you know, and there's probably no equivalent of that in social justice world, which is why they're winning. What the fuck does it mean? Oh, if we behave like them, we what? Like, oh, they're using cancel culture against us. Well, we can't use it against them, because if we use it against them, we become like them. How do you become like them? They have a completely different ideology than you do. They have a completely different agenda. They have a completely different view of the world. It's like, what? Like, if I use cancel culture, I'm going to start rallying for diversity, inclusivity, and equity, and I'm going to see multi-billion-dollar corporation crash tank, and I'm going to try to raise taxation if I use cancel culture? Is that what you're thinking? No, I don't think it works like that. I think like the way it works is that if they use cancel culture, you use it against them until like both sides come and agree that using it is wrong. I generally like don't get it. You know, I don't understand. It's like, oh, if you're using their tactics, you'll become like them. Nah. They love playing the doxing game, and the only one who wins in the end is the government. Yeah, it's true. To be fair, I have seen like people on the right finally using the same tactics. I think it all started with libs of TikTok, right? It's like libs of TikTok got doxed and people got fed up. But the biggest doxing happened when they went after VTubers. Like when they went after VTubers, people had enough. It's like, no. But then Short Fat Otaku came. It's like, no, don't do it to them. Don't do it to them. You're just simps. You're just simping for Pikami. You don't understand. Like, Pikami is actually... Oh, fuck. Those people, let someone beat them up. Yeah, it's like, imagine this guy, right, who is like the school bully, and he just wants to take people's lunch money, right? And he beats people up to take their lunch money. And one day, like, someone has enough, and he stands up to the bully, and it's like, well, no, you can't use violence, because then you become the bully. And it's like, no, you don't become the bully if you defend yourself. Like, not to mention, if you beat up the bully, that doesn't mean that you're going to take his lunch money, right? It just means that you're giving him a taste of his own medicine, so he understands that what he's doing is wrong. And if you're going to push people, there may be consequences. Right? I mean, I don't get like the idea, oh, if you behave like them, you become the... No, I'm sorry. No, it's not how it works. I mean, VTuber fans simply for VTuber, but Dev Sims for the government. It wasn't about simping. I explained to Dev what it was, right? And I'll explain it again. You have like these people that go around on the internet swinging their big fat cocks like a helicopter, right? Like, I want you to close your eyes and imagine, you know, some individuals that look as if they have the California visage, right? So, like, imagine, like, the face, right? They have, like, the Californian look. And they walk around, like, spitting some really fat cocks, you know, like a helicopter, right? And they're walking down, and they're looking left and right to see who dares challenge them, who dares stand up to them, right? At the moment someone stands up to them, they dox, they do all of these things, like they try to get the person banned from social media. They're very vile individuals, right? They use their cocks to start whipping people every single time someone even dares to look at them. So this has been going on for like more than 2 years now. And people are getting fed up. It's like, who are these individuals? Why are they terrorizing the internet? What have we done to deserve living under their tyranny? And then they come up with like the activists. They come up with like this very bizarre statement that makes absolutely no sense, which is, if you're a streamer and you play the wizard game, you're committing genocide. Like, that's how they radicalize themselves. And despite the fact that they have like this hugely exaggerated, radical, extremist rhetoric, which actually ended up with a couple of individuals doing school shootings because they genuinely believe that a genocide is going on, right? Like, There is no accountability for that. None of the trust and safety councils decide that rhetoric should be banned, that rhetoric is dangerous. Now, if you talk about defending the borders and securing the borders, oh, that is dangerous. But if you say that if you play a wizard game online, you're committing a genocide, no, apparently that's fine, right? So with this unhinged level of rhetoric, you have like a couple of VTubers, Pickaby included, that said, oh, I want to play this wizard game. And she immediately gets doxxed, she gets harassed, she gets all of the vile stuff. And this is the point where people are saying, enough. Enough. This has gone long enough. So now there is backlash against the activists. Now you have people that aren't even into VTubing, that don't give a fuck about Pickaby. They don't even care who she is. It's like, but they're noticing that all of these activists that have been pushing and pushing for so long are finally getting pushed back, and they're joining the bandwagon. They don't care about Pickaby. It's like, who the fuck cares? It's like, no. It's unacceptable. And by the way, you know, you don't have to be a Pickaby fan in order to notice that harassing a young girl over the internet because she wants to play a video game is wrong. Right? Like, you don't really need to actually be a fan of her or to care about her situation, right? It's convenience, yes. It's convenience. And here you have Short Fat Otaku coming in, and it's like, actually, you shouldn't do the backlash because it's not entirely correct, because actually, and people are like, what the, get the fuck out of the way. Get the fuck out of the way. I don't care. Just get the fuck out of it. Ah, you're not with us, you're against us. And that's pretty much how it happened. I tried to explain it to him. I don't know if he understood, but the reason we cannot use their tactics against them is that we lack the institutional backing to do so. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the social justice activists, they waited for at least 10 years. The long march in the academia, they call it. In order to infiltrate all of the systemic systems of power. And take into account that when you go to a university, like they teach leftist activists how to do activism, right? So they indoctrinate them, they teach them. It's like, okay, well, you go into a company, you then demand that the company has HR. Once it has HR, this is how you use HR in order to gain power. Right-wingers have no equivalent. There is no like university that teaches right-wing activists in my country or in Eastern Europe or in many other places. There are universities that teach people how to do left-wing activism, but there are almost no universities that teach people how to do right-wing activism. Dev just goes, she should have known better, getting into the fire when she can't take the heat. Yeah, but I don't think like Dev understands. No one cares about Pickaby, right? It's like, I don't care if she knew better or not. All I care about is that there is backlash. And how can I join the backlash, right? Like the Pickaby thing is kind of like the fluff, the lore. I don't care. Although to be honest, though, actually I do care. It's not okay for a young lady to be harassed over the internet and doxxed just because she wants to play a video game. No, yeah, actually, you know what? I take it back. I do care a little bit. But it's kind of like, you know, when you play League of Legends and you're playing with Lux, the character, like, you don't really need to know the story of Lux. You don't really need to know her lore, her background. It's like, this is, you know, like them coming in and saying, well, actually, Lux is a magician and she is from the kingdom of Demacia, and in Demacia, they don't really like mages. It's like, yeah, shut the fuck up, now go mid. Mid or feed. Let me show you how liberals have a conversation, okay? Because I found this video and I was like, wow, this video, this 20 seconds is the perfect example how leftists have a conversation, especially online. If I was teaching at a right-wing university, if I was teaching activists at a right-wing university on leftism, and why you shouldn't debate leftists and you should just block and ignore, this is the perfect example. So first we're going to watch the 20 seconds, and then we're going to comment.
Seattle decriminalized drug use, and then they criminalized it again.
Oh my God, who are you getting these facts from? You're from New York. Apparently you're listening to the wrong people.
I saw...
Right? So... I don't know if the sound is on or not, but he is basically saying Seattle decriminalized drug use, and then criminalize it again. And she's like, oh my god, where are you getting your facts from? You must be talking to the wrong people.
People shooting up on my way down here.
Oh, did you? Okay. And they were bothering you?
I was in a car, but you know, people.
Oh no, you're in a car. Oh no, they were hurting you so bad. Oh no.
It is infuriating, isn't it? But like the thing is, this is such amazing activism, because when it comes to politics, when it comes to influencing the masses, it doesn't really matter if you're right or not. It doesn't really matter if you're logical or not. What matters is your body language and composure, right? So if you start screaming, if you get angry, if you're getting upset, if you're getting emotional, you lost the argument in front of people. Even like it doesn't matter what it is, unless it's like something very evident, like 2 + 2 = 4. But if you're going to be like heels versus babyface and you're screaming about pronouns and stuff, even if you're right, you lost the argument, right? So the leftist activist is doing their best in order to get the speaker as angry as possible. And any human being in this situation would get upset, right? Because if you actually think you're talking to a genuine person, if you're actually thinking that you're talking to a charitable individual that's just interested in having a conversation, their behavior is incredibly disrespectful. It's wasting your time. And I don't mention they come off as evil, right? So, like, what is the question about? How did the conversation go? Well, the guy said Seattle has decriminalized drug use and then criminalized it again. So she's saying, no, that did not happen, right? She's accusing him of being misinformed. Like, she's accusing him of spreading harmful and dangerous misinformation. And in today's culture, that's usually solved with censorship, right? Like, if you spread misinformation, you have to be censored. And he's saying, no, I'm not spreading misinformation. Like, literally, as I came up here, I saw some people shooting in the arm, right? Like he's basically saying, like, it's so bad that even I, as I was walking here, I managed to see it happening in the middle of daylight. So I can imagine just how bad the problem is. And she immediately goes, it's like, oh, it was so bad. Did it hurt you? Oh, did it hurt you? Right? So, like, what she is doing now is like, but how does it affect you personally? You know, that picture with the Roman Empire burning, and it's like, but how does this affect you personally? I mean, I don't know. If you think that I shouldn't care about things that don't affect me, then why do I pay taxes? Right? Why should I pay taxes that go for single moms? And if you say anything, my answer would be like, but if I don't pay taxes, how does it affect you personally? You know, it's a little bit disingenuous, right? Why would I pay taxes? For example, the infrastructure bill, I think like it had like $80 million going for like gender studies in Pakistan. It's like, what if I don't give that money? Right? And you're like, well, but how does it affect you personally? So it's very condescending, right? And it's the smug attitude as well. And it's the fact that they try to blend in with the culture, right? Like, this is the biggest thing, is the Trojan horse. They try to pretend, well, of course we're against drugs, right? Like, drugs are bad, okay? And when you point out, well, actually, drugs are legal here, they're like, but how does it affect your personal, right? Mask is off. They don't care about drugs. In fact, that's what they want. And it's not just about this conversation. It's not just about the conversation with drugs and that. It's almost like any extremist, radical position that you can possibly imagine, right? That's the same thing that they do. Like, at first, they will try to blend in with the crowd and try to say, no, we're reasonable people. I mean, of course, you know, like, drugs are bad. And it's like, obviously, like, we don't allow drugs here. But when you point out, yeah, you actually do, then the mask is off, and it's like, oh, well, if we do, who cares? Right? Because they notice, oh, wait, so now culture has shifted, and I'm not in the minority anymore, I'm actually in the majority, so I don't have to pretend. Let me pass through some super chats really quick. Next dev video, bruh, don't leave your car outside. I don't care if you are an old lady. You talk to me that way, we're throwing hands. You gotta understand, like that entire activism is built around you reacting, right? Like they want you to be a reactionary. They even have a word for it, right? They're mocking you if you're reacting. Like, look what happened with the satanic statue. you have like the temple of Satan putting a statue on public grounds. And when someone decapitated it, which was a veteran, I think, he's now being charged with a hate crime. He's being charged with destruction of property. He can go to prison for that, right? And meanwhile, the Satanic Temple is just going to build another statue. So basically, that's what they want, right? That's how they do activism. They want you to act in a manner that's disrespectful so that you get in trouble with the law. You should never throw hands. If you do, you get in prison, and that person is going to get donations. That person is going to raise a subscribe star on a Patreon or whatever, and they're going to be like, oh my god, life is so cruel. Oh, I can't live in my country anymore. And that's like $50,000, right? We should use every tactic the left has ever used and go one step further. Yeah. V wants to advocate using the enemy tactics. Are you pro swatting as well? I don't think like swatting is a leftist tactic, first and foremost. And secondly, I always said like use things that are legal. Swatting is illegal. I'm actually saying don't get yourself into prison. But yeah, no, like swatting is something that was done by edgy kids. I think like the first case was people who play Call of Duty, right? It's not like a leftist or a right-wing tactic. It's just like a criminal thing to do, a delinquent tactic. I'm sure like the left uses it as well, of course. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but like I don't think like this is you know what social justice activists usually do. I think what they do is like trying to get people fired and stuff like that. Modern leftists have learned a lot from the hyper-religious cult that protest soldier funerals. Oh, yeah. The West Bethel Baptist Church, yeah. Once you start that direction, are you sure you can even draw a line? Yeah. You draw a line at things that are criminal in nature. Do not do crime. Simple. Yeah, it's the thing. It's like, imagine being no better than that. Why do I want to be better? What is even better? Like what does better even mean? I don't want to raise your taxes. I don't want to make it so that everything is regulated. I don't want you to be surveilled when you go online. I don't want you to have difficulty when you get a job because the way you're born, right? I think just because I have a different ideology and I don't want to arrive at the same point that they do, I think that makes me a better person. I don't know. It's like, what does it mean to be better? Like if some social justice activist says something really nasty on social media, and someone takes that and shows it to their boss. Are you saying that, oh, well, if you do that, then you're no better? It's no. That, again, like that concept, the very notion of that concept just does not exist in the Romanian psyche. Like, that is an American nonsense. I remember, like, when I was watching cartoons as a kid from America, and they had, like, the concept of, like, oh, we can't do that because then we're no better than them. I was like, what the fuck? What is this cocking mentality? No, like, they're trying to get you. They're trying to get you. If they're trying to get you, then you need to get them first. So, like, no. Like, for instance, right? If they put a Baphomet statue, then put, like, 10 mockeries of Karl Marx around it. Put statues of... I would put statues of the Democrats around the Baphomet statue. I don't decapitate the statue like it happened. No, that's destruction of property. But you can put your own statues, right? Like, put statues of Nancy Pelosi sitting in Baphomet's lap. Like, find something that you can do, which is what they would do, and do it back to them. That's what I would do. You know, if I live in a fucking village, And there's this witch that dislikes me and puts like a dead possum in front of my house. I put a dead horse in front of hers just to drive in the principle. You know? It's like I'm willing to lower myself to the standards of the people that are messing with me just so that they will stop messing with me. You put a dead possum in front of my door, I put 10. I guarantee to you, no one will put dead possums in front of my door then. This is so fucking ridiculous. I don't even know why this needs to be argued. Oh, but then you're no better than the witch. Well, I hope I am. Hope I'm doing better shit than she does. I'm an atheist, but at least I understand morality, unlike V, who is willing to do evil to achieve his goals. Yes, absolutely. But there's a caveat, don't forget, as long as it's legal, right? So if it's legal, don't do it. But if you don't get in trouble with the law, if you're doing stuff that's legal, go for it. The mindset of contacting your employer was bad when the right was doing it. People need to mind their own business. Yeah, it's bad when people do it, period. Like, I do not want to live in a society where the company owes your soul. Like when you're outside of your working hours, the idea that you still represent the company is ridiculous, right? So, like, if you're a plumber and you say something, you say a South Park joke on Twitter, I don't think, like, that should get the plumber fired. But unfortunately, we do not live in my world. I do not make the patch notes. I play the meta, right? Like, if the law and the society that we live under is that the plumber gets fired for shit he says on social media, then I'm going to make sure that the plumber that agrees with that culture is going to get a taste of the culture that he is supporting. Meanwhile, the plumbers that I know who disagree with that culture, I will look the other way. I will be like, oh, well, you said something on social media, well, don't worry about it. I won't tell anyone. But if you're like, no, oh, this culture is amazing. Oh, I love it. I love it so fucking much. Oh, let me say something on social media. Oh, why are people sending this to my boss? Simple. Again, I play by the patch notes. When the patch notes change, I will change my tactics as well. I just, every single day I update the meta. No, but honestly, like the other mentality, which Fadreus is saying, it's kind of like being a hippie in London during World War II, and you're like, I don't want to learn how to fly a plane. I don't know what an anti-air gun is. I just want the Nazis to stop bombing. I mean, that's all well and good. I don't want to get in a plane and defend London because then I become like the Nazis. Like if I fly planes and I try to defend London, then I become just like them. So I just want to stay here on the ground so that like there is a big morality distinction between me and them, and hopefully they will see the light. I will lecture to them. Maybe I'll send some flyers over to Germany. Maybe I'll send a couple of newspapers and tell them that what they're doing is wrong, and hopefully one day they will see the error of their ways. Right? I mean, is that no? I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's no. Is it 20 years before the hippies existed? I'm pretty sure the pacifist mentality existed before the hippies were officially a thing. I only reciprocate. I keep my morals and values for people that deserve them. Compassion fallacy, as if being assaulted and responding in defense is in any way compatible. Yeah, but Fadreus, we're talking about individuals on Twitter that want to ruin someone's life. Okay? Like, they will try to ruin the life of a VTuber because she played a wizard game. If they get the opportunity, if they see that you said a joke they don't like, they will try to contact your boss. They will try to get you fired. They will try to get you on the streets starving. That's what they want, And you're telling me that, well, actually, you should be gentle to these people. You should be nice and compassionate and treat them with dignity. And no, I'm sorry, no. It is what it is. Yeah, I do think that we are way past the point. Again, like if things change and they will the culture will change and people will understand actually it's not good that a corporation gets to own you. So when you're off work, it doesn't matter what you say on social media. That shouldn't reflect. Basically, why should the blacksmith apprentice lose his apprenticeship because he said something disrespectful in the tavern? I mean, if you read like an old book, from like a medieval story, you never see like, oh, the blacksmith apprentice said something disrespectful to the tavern wench. We need to let the blacksmith know. We need like that's what we need to do. We need to go to the blacksmith and tell them. It's like that didn't even cross their mind. The fact that he makes horseshoes has nothing to do with his behavior in the tavern. If anything, he gets banned from the tavern, and that's that. But if you live in a different society where the blacksmith apprentice actually gets in trouble for shit he said in the tavern, then I'm going to make absolutely sure that everyone that ratted him out to the blacksmith, that when they do something, I'm going to rat them out to their guildmaster as well. And we keep ratting each other out because apparently it's fun and this is how society is supposed to be handled. And at some point, hopefully, someone will say, well, actually, this is shit. We need to stop. But until that happens, violence begets violence. Yeah, but like, I mean, after a slaughter, it is peaceful. That is correct. Yeah, like if you look at history, when you have like the Mongols, right? You're right, violence begets violence, but the Mongols were the only ones doing violence, and after that it was peaceful. Yeah, like after they took a city and they applied their violence and no one survived, they eradicated everyone, it was peaceful. Yeah, absolutely, you're right. The blacksmith assaulted a noble. That is a crime. If the blacksmith assaulted a noble, then the blacksmith would have probably been pilloried or taken to the dungeon, but he wouldn't lose his apprenticeship. Like, he would just serve his sentence, whatever that was. Usually if you insulted a noble, it was probably lashings. But after you got your lashings, you were still the blacksmith apprentice. Again, like insulting a noble and making horseshoes are two different things. They don't have anything to do with one another. The blacksmith says he doesn't particularly enjoy his son being educated about fairy elves instead of real work. we must call on the lords to take his children. Yeah. Violence only begets violence when there are survivors. Yeah, it's pretty much what I said. Violence begets violence. Carthage attacks Rome. Rome does violence to Carthage. It was peaceful afterwards. Yeah, but like surrendering, yeah, no, you're right. Like surrendering and living under the tyranny of the oppressor does bring peace. I think like Ronald Reagan actually had a very good speech about this. This was during the Cold War when it was like the same argument. It's like, oh no, violence begets violence. And Ronald Reagan was like, I mean, we can always surrender, like capitulation is an option, and we can allow the Soviet Union to do whatever they want, and once they do whatever they want to the rest of the world, then they can impose their way of life onto us. I mean, that is an option, right? But like, he didn't like it. He's like, no, we're going to fight. And apparently the Soviet Union didn't manage to impose their way of life on the Americans, at least not for a couple of decades. A modern-day pacifist would whip and shriek and claw the dirt for the crime of bleeding on a murderer's knife. Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to... the older you grow, the more likely you understand that the pacifist way doesn't work. Apparently what actually works is nuclear weapons. You don't really get another war, after you have the nuclear deterrent. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for nuclear weapons, I do think that the Ukrainian conflict would have expanded. Like, you'd have had NATO going in there, and you'd probably have a direct conflict with Russia. You'd probably have World War III by now if it wasn't for nuclear weapons. So that's what actually brings peace. Like, peace is when one side has like the nuclear option. Like, it has something that is so horrible that no one wants them to see if they're going to use it or not, so no one messes with them. That is like the best. And what's interesting is that when I grew up, there were so many movies that were anti-nuclear. I don't know if you guys remember. I think like Superman 3, the movie, was like complete nonsense, like complete ideology. Like, I watched it recently and it's so fucking bizarre. So just so you remember, Superman 3, like the third movie ever made with Superman. My god, it's almost like the version of woke from back then. Now that I think about it, right? You have Superman 1, the first movie, which is like, you will believe a man will fly. And it was like one of the best movies ever made. So, this is the one that, hold on. I mean, the special effects for it at the time were so amazing that it mind blown an entire generation, right? Now that you look at them, they look ridiculous. But anyway, so you have like this movie, absolutely perfect, a masterpiece at the time. Then they made the sequel, and the third one is completely ideological. Like, it's 100%. I guess you could consider it woke. The story, and I'm not making this up, the story is that the kid inside the school writes a letter to Superman, and the kid is worried about nuclear weapons. So what Superman does, he goes to the United Nations and says, I want to confiscate all the nukes. And the United Nations goes like, yeah, sure, Superman, why the fuck not? And everyone is cheering and applauding, and he takes all of the nukes from the world, literally every single one of them, and throws them into the sun. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if you were to do that, what's to stop people from doing war the traditional way? You know, like they did in World War I and World War II. Like, you just threw away the nuclear deterrent, Superman, you dumbass. What's to stop people doing war traditionally now? But anyway, right, so the thing was that this was like the mentality back then, is that nukes are bad. And what they were actually trying to say is that no, America should denuclearize, right? So like, America should dismantle all of its nukes so that only Russia has them. And when you look to a lot of like hippies and their ideology and what they were asking for, it was for America to weaken itself. They never asked for like Russia to weaken itself. They never asked for the Soviet Union to weaken itself. No. The hippie movement was like consistently hammering on the idea that America should weaken itself in every aspect, right? Whether it's energy, whether it's the military, whether like everything, America should just be better. You know, like America shouldn't become, because if you don't, you become like them. If you don't, you become like the Soviet Union. So instead, to avoid becoming like the Soviet Union, you should dismantle your military, you should dismantle your research, dismantle your energy system, dismantle your economy, right? Because otherwise, you become like the Soviet Union. This was like the mentality and the movies that I grew up with. And I'm curious, like a lot of people who today are using the same argument. It's like, well, if we behave like them, then we're no better than them. How many of those arguments aren't actually inspired from those movies? Like when you were a kid and you grew up with this mentality, and now it's stuck on you. The fourth Superman was the nuclear man. Oh, my bad. I guess I must have mistook. Actually, having an effective counter to someone not paying by the rules is immoral, and you're like super problematic. Oh, God. They love Pol Pot and Stalin. No, like who they love the most is Che Guevara. Like I don't know why they simp for Che Guevara so much. Like out of all the communists, it's not even that interesting. Hey V, how is Romania today? It's a little bit warmer than I expected. It's 6 degrees rather than 0, so that's a good. Might become a member. Tell Dev to stop being such a cuck. His Twitter takes are laughable. You should see his takes in private. Holy shit. I'm not going to say them because, you know, like I don't like saying stuff that I talk to people in private. But my fucking god, like it's getting to the point that even I don't want to talk politics with him anymore. Like, I'll probably talk about other things, just not politics, because it's triggering me. Finding a socialist who isn't ugly is not an easy task. AOC wasn't ugly. Like, that dance video was pretty nice. Anita Sarkeesian wasn't ugly either. I mean, in her prime. I mean, you know, no. I'm not saying they were beautiful, but they weren't ugly, right? That's what we're going with. If that's the standard, like finding a socialist that's not ugly, it's possible. It's difficult, though. It's difficult. I'm not going to lie, but it is possible. Hassan Piker apparently is not ugly. Like, a lot of women like Hassan Piker. I can't really evaluate the beauty of a man. So I will go with what the ladies are saying. And apparently a lot of ladies are saying that Hassan Piker, Hardar, is beautiful. And I'm saying Hardar because he got banned from Twitch for saying the word cracker. He used Hardar as well, and he got banned, so he was very upset about it. AOC definitely got the moves. Yeah. Women look at looks and resources. Men look at looks. I don't think women look at looks that much. I mean, you get to see people that are high on the social status, and that they're not that charming to look at. I think, like, no, the only thing that women care about is size, right? Like, you need to be taller than them. If you're shorter than her, then you need to overcompensate a lot. I mean, like, someone like Peter Dinklage, right? Like, he's got a wife, and the wife is taller than him. But other than that, yeah, like if you wanna if you wanna impress a woman, the only requirement, the only physical characteristic is to be taller than her, and of course, you know, like, not to be disfigured. So, you know, like, missing teeth, missing eye, missing hand, like that would work against you. And I also think, yeah, like, morbidly obese. But the thing with morbidly obese is that if you're like a very plump person, then you may find a plump woman. So, although interestingly enough, I noticed that plump ladies don't like plump men. Like, no, they still like fit guys. It's interesting how that is. Didn't Hassan have to go to a brother to have relations, to a brothel to have relations, and later it came out that it had women there without their consent? I heard about that. I did hear about that. Like, he went to Germany, and when he went to Germany, I think he wanted to experience the local culture, and then people found out that the place he went to was actually not above board. Yeah, but Fadreos, I don't know how to reach you. Chat, okay. Chat, I want you all to tell Fadreos something, because I don't think he understood it when I say it. So, like, maybe there's a miscommunication between me and him. You know, like, I'm struggling my best to explain it. Fadreos, as long as, like, you can do whatever you want, as long as you don't break the law. Chat, I want you to try and hammer this into his head, because I don't want him to leave this live stream thinking that you can do whatever you want. Like, I think that's what he wants to do, and he only listens to that part and ignores the other one. You know, he ignores the parenthesis, like, as long as you don't break the law. I think he, like subconscientiously, he doesn't like the second part. right? So he only tries to take the first part. No, Fadrios, listen to me, listen, right? You can do whatever you want as long as you're not breaking the law, okay? So, don't mug people, heavens no, right? Do not hurt anyone, do not do assault, no, right? Just law-abiding, Fadrios. Law-abiding. We're abiding the law, alright? The law is the law, and we're abiding it. Look, now he's saying I literally need to make up nonsense. Hold on, look at this. Why is Fadrios arguing in this way? Hold on. Hold on, let me find out where he actually said the thing about mugging. Look. He's talking about mugging. And I made it specifically clear. It's like, no, we're not breaking the law. Why are you bringing up mugging? What are you doing, Fadrios? Why are you like this? You don't have to be like this, Padros. It's a choice. Starship Troopers, when you vote, you're exercising political authority. You're using force. Force is violence, the supreme authority from which all other authorities are derived. That is actually true, you know, like, someone articulated that violence is one of the things which transcends culture, transcends language. It is the ultimate force. I would say that tits as well, like tits also transcends language. But it's true, right? Like if you behave in a way in society which is illegal, like what happens? Well, the government sends police to you, right? And they try to arrest you. If you resist, they do violence, right? So like the government is the one that has monopoly on violence. What happens when the government behaves in an irrational way? Well, then other governments do violence, and it's usually like the government that wins that gets to impose their will on the other people. So it's true, like Starship Troopers, brilliant take. It's actually genius. Anyway, right, I'll leave it here. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you were entertained, and I'm going to be here tomorrow to entertain you again. So hopefully